How's it going, everybody? It is Bryant here. Now today what I have for you guys is another tutorial. In this tutorial I want to show you how to web scrape data off of any website that you might have some interest in. This is great for car dealers or some other site that you find has important data that you want to extract. And to do that, we're actually going to be using a very popular library that's known for this, that helps parse the HTML string and makes it very easier to interact with the data. And this is known as BeautifulSoup. So that is one of the libraries that we're going to be using. And for this exact video, we're actually going to be using Carvana to web scrape. We're actually going to be pulling some data for their cars. We want to know the prices for cars. We're not really going to do anything with this data. We're just going to pull it and display it, but we're not going to process it, such as taking averages and recording it. Maybe I'll do that in a different video, but for the sake of simplicity, in this video we're just going to extract the data. It's essentially going to end up in a string format, but very easily could be converted to an actual integer. Okay, so to begin, we're actually going to need a few libraries to import. We'll just go ahead and import those for now. So from BS4, you can go ahead and install that by doing pip install BS4. Pretty easy to do there. After that, we're going to want to do request. Same thing, just do pip install request to get that going. And we're also going to use regular expressions, which is just known as RE. I don't believe you actually have to install that, but that is what we're going to be using. So next thing is we're just gonna do an entry point into our module here. We'll just make it a one pager. Just main.py. And we'll go ahead and call the function that we're gonna create, and we'll just call that start scraping. And we'll define it right above it. Now after this, you're actually going to want to use a URL that you want to scrape data from. This is easy as going to the browser and identifying a site where you want to pull data from. There might be some limitations actually because of the way that this content is rendered. Sometimes the classes are different every time you visit the site, and that is for the same reason, because they don't want anybody to essentially take advantage of the data they have on that site. So you might need to get a little creative there, but you could just use a regular site that has regular CSS class names that don't change too often. Although that is a thing you have to be wary of, is that these classes might change often, and this might require a lot of maintenance for some projects you may have that are rely on this. That's just a little FYI. So like I said, we already have our Carvana site ready to go. That's our URL. Next thing is we're gonna just make a request to it. We already imported requests, and we're just using req. And we're gonna do .get, and you pass in that page URL. Bam. Now the HTML is actually gonna be equal to the response content. So go ahead and get that. And then after this, we're going to have to pass it into the BeautifulSoup object and get parsed HTML. Go ahead and instantiate that. And one of the configurations you have to add in is HTML.parser. So we're passing in the HTML, and we're going to get parsed HTML back. That's going to allow us to interact with the HTML a lot more easier. Now what we actually want from these HTML elements is the price strings that lay within. You could use IDs, class names, or hierarchy structure to determine what element you want to grab. But for Carvana it's pretty easy because they have the price element named as price. So all I have to do is go in and get the price out of the whole site, and that should give me the price strings, which is just not exactly the actual price itself by itself, but along with some other stuff that we're going to have to clean out, and we're going to use regular expressions for that. So we get the parse.html, and we're going to do find all of the class price. Let's see. That is the class name. Now we're going to want to iterate through the price strings, so we could use regular expressions to extract the actual numbers that we want. So for string and price strings, we're going to go ahead and create this variable group, and that's going to give us a list of the matches for this particular string. And the regular expression that we're using is just simply pulling all the digits from the string. I'm pretty sure you could come up with more creative ones for more particular different types of data. And then we're gonna pass in the actual string as well. Now it's a string, but it's in a different type, so we're gonna actually have to convert that into what Python knows as a string. And after that, we're gonna want to print out the joining of these elements that we have in the group. So it's just going to be an array of different numbers that are often separated by commas. So after the commas are gone, we could go ahead and join them, and that should give us the value that we're looking for. Now once we've defined our function here, I would say it's safe to call it from the entryway. So we're going to go ahead and get this going and see if it worked on the first go. Okay, so it looks like I found what I did wrong. There was a period there instead of a comma, but after we run that, it should be good. Okay, here we see the output of the different strings that was found on the DOM. Now it is going to be limited because the initial page load only shows so many actual cars, but at least here you could actually start playing with this data. Some of the examples you could do is, processing it and taking the average on a given day and just mapping that across the whole year, so you can see price trends for coupes in your area. That is about it. It is a pretty simple video. I'll probably make a follow-up video of how to play with this data, put it on an Excel sheet, or actually create a database just to store this data. But if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. But that is it. Peace.